Okay, so the first time I binged RWBY, I believe it was season. I know they're technically called volumes, but it's a TV show. So, I mean, I guess it's not technically a TV show, it's an internet show, but you know what I mean? Like, I probably just gonna call them seasons most of the time. Like, I'll call them volumes every now and then, because that's technically correct, but they're fucking seasons. The first time I watched the show, I binged all of season 1 in one sitting, because I think in total it's like a 2.5 hour movie. It's very easy to get through. And there was like an episode or two of season 2, and then I was able to watch season 2 as it came out. The second time I got caught up on RWBY was in preparation, I believe, for season 4. It had either, again, like just come out with an episode or two, or was going to be coming out soon, and I was like, oh shit, I liked that. I need to get caught up. So I had re-binged season 1 and 2, binged season 3, watched volume 4 like I said, I'm going to alternate between season and volume. Had binged volume 4, or I take that back, not binged it, again, I watched it as it came out. And I also binged volume 5 when it came out, and never got around to watching the next 4 volumes. That is not because after volume 5, I was like, wow, this is so dog shit, I just don't want to watch it anymore. Because I did enjoy it. I think part of the problem was I just never knew when seasons were starting and when they were coming out. So by the time I learned it was like, yeah, season 7's coming out. There was a season 6? Fuck, I'm like super behind. And by that point, I was like, it's been so long that I really don't remember a lot of shit. So I should rewatch the whole thing. But it's a lot, so I don't want to, and here we are today. So what caused this was there was a couple videos on my feed. I watched at least one of them. I might have watched a couple others. Excuse me. It was talking about why the show is bad, or at least I think it was like the last few seasons. Like, man, this show is like not good anymore. It's complete trash. I remember reading a comment that was something along the lines of, the current showrunners probably thought to themselves, we have like a gold mine here. We might be able to create the next Avatar, The Last Airbender, and somehow churned out season 8 of Game of Thrones every season that they ran. And it's that comment in particular that made me kind of go, hold on a second. Because I remember liking this show. It had its problems from what I remember. Again, it's been like 6, 7 years since I was caught up. Because I don't even think it was always a volume a year. I could be completely wrong about that. And maybe so that's 6, 7, 8, 9. It's been at least 4 years if it's a volume every year. If it's not a volume every year, then maybe it has been a little bit longer. Anyways, my point. Fuck, I completely forgot what I was saying. Damn it, I'm sorry. Like, I'm really tired. For some reason, my body said, hey, you're gonna wake up really, really early today. Like, my face is super red, and I don't know if that's just because I'm tired, if that's just because I have scarlet fever or some shit. I don't know. I feel fine. Maybe a little bit warm, but it's like 70 degrees. Okay, I was talking about RWBY being caught. Okay, I remember now. Yes, like, I feel like the show had some jank around the edges, but I still liked it quite a bit. I'm interested to know what's gonna happen. For the most part, I think there were parts where I was like, is this where we're doing? Is this where we're going? Oh, okay. But like, I still give enough of a shit, you know, because I really liked those first few seasons. Again, despite there being some jank. What I really remember is, this is a weird way of phrasing it, but the cutscene animations, because the fights, especially in those first few seasons, were fucking immaculate. But then anything else. Like, I remember just, like, character movement and just, like, interactions were weird. And I rewatched the first episode. I haven't watched the rest of Volume 1 yet. I plan on doing that in one sitting. I just had, like, I was at Chick-fil-A, and it was a while till they were going to have my food, and I had already kind of decided, like, I think I'm just going to rewatch RWBY. I was like, fuck it. While I'm waiting, let me just watch episode 1. I was like, yeah, some of these, not all of them, but man, some of these, like, animations are, like, really weird and just kind of off. The game's look and feel reminds me a lot of Three Houses, and I don't know if that says more about RWBY, or if it says more about, like, intelligent systems in Nintendo. But there's that. One thing I remember fucking hating, and I don't remember how big of a problem this was in later seasons. I don't think it was, but at least in season 1, because it's even there in episode 1, when, hell, it's in Yang's trailer too, and I'm actually going to talk about the character trailers here in a bit, is when they try to make a room feel like it's packed, they'll put a bunch of silhouettes or, like, these shadowy people in there, with the idea being like, hey, we don't have the time and or the budget to animate a bunch of different looking people, but we want to make it look like the place is lived in, so here they are. And I don't know why. I don't know if this was from, like, watching RWBY or if this was from watching something else. Because I remember saying the same thing, like, when I was watching Danganronpa, the animation. Specifically, it was, like, Danganronpa 3, the animation, which is, if you know, you know, there's, like, 2 different animes of it. It's like, here's the thing that's currently going on, and then here's the prequel, which is specifically about the lead-up in a Danganronpa 2, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but I love me some Danganronpa. They do the same thing, or it's like, to make it look lived in, here's a bunch of shadowy people, so you can also easily identify the main characters because they actually have fucking designs. I call these non-relevance or non-revs, which I just get a kick out of whenever I'm like, oh, look, there's the non-revs. But it just bothers me because it's something that really takes me out of it, and it is kind of a double-edged sword. Like, for example, like in Yang's trailer, when she goes into this nightclub and there's nobody there, you're like, yeah, I mean, you can almost make an argument. They can maybe change the dialogue of it. Like, yeah, like, we're closed. We're shutting down for the night. You're not supposed to be here right now. It's like, that's believable. But when they're at the school, or it's like, this is the shuttle to go to the school, you would expect there to be some people, but we don't have the time or the budget to make them all, so here's the stand-ins. It's like, I get it. I understand. But seeing all these people that are not actually people bothers me. I'm like, it takes me out. I'm like, this is, you know? Let's see. But so with all that in mind, I do want to rewatch it. I don't remember the number. It's like 117 or something, the episode count, which is definitely a non-zero number. But when you look at each season, especially because, like, how short a lot of episodes are, especially in the early seasons, on average, the average season, that's saying the exact same fucking thing. On average, most seasons are about 2.5 to 3.5 hours, which is not short, but that's not super long either. I'm like, theoretically, I could watch a season in an afternoon. So I think that's how I'm really going to view it, is less of, I'm watching a season of a TV show. Because with that mindset, I'm more likely to go, like, yeah, I'll watch like 2 to 3 episodes. Like, if I'm really hyped, I'll keep going, kind of thing. But if I look at it as each volume, so maybe it is kind of better to say volume in this context, each volume is a film. I can watch that in one sitting, so I could get through it pretty quick. Now, because there's so many there's fucking 9, and they do get to be like 3.5 hours a pop in the later seasons, I don't think I'm gonna do one a day. That's kind of way too much RWBY. Again, if I get to a point there where I'm like, fuck, it's really good. I disagree with what people are saying. I really, really like it. I might just I might do one a day. I might do a few a day if I'm like, it's that good. What I'm expecting is to probably do maybe like 2 to 3 a week. I think that sounds about right. Like 2 to 3 a week. Be like, all right, I've binged season 1. I viewed it as a movie. Let me talk about it. All right, now we did season 2. This is how season 2 is. Blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. Finish 9. I know volume 10 is confirmed. I don't know if it's the last one. I don't even know when it's airing. I don't know if it's airing next year. I don't fucking know. Excuse me, but hopefully I will be caught up by then. Is there anything else I wanted to say without going into it? Because I also watched the character trailers first. Because I feel like it feels like it's still a part of RWBY. It's not, they're kind of like episode zeros for each of the main characters. Was there anything else I wanted to say? I don't think so. So let me just go ahead and talk about my general thoughts on the red, the white, the black, and the yellow trailer. The choreography is fucking great. I really like the fights. Yeah, not Yang's. Yang's is still good. Like, they're all really cool. The ones that really stand out to me, though, are the red trailer, the white trailer. The white trailer, because, like, okay, the rapier is a very classy weapon. I think it's cool. And then she just starts doing magic shit. She's just bouncing off the walls, like, basically casting spells while thrusting and shit. I'm like, this is dope. This is really fucking cool to watch. And yeah, there's a part in the trailer, like, she's trying to fight it without using the magic. Dust. Dust isn't magic. I remember that being a thing they really emphasize, and me kind of going, it's like, it's not magic. Sure, dog, like, it helps you make glyphs and does, like, very specific effects and whatnot, but it's not magic, because magic... there's this one conversation I remember from Volume 5 that I remember being really stupid, where Raven and Crow, spoilers, let me give a countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Raven and Crow are having this conversation about Osmond, and how, from what I remember, again, it's been a long time, where Crow is like, I still trust him, and what he left for us to do, and Raven saying, I don't trust him, I think he's a massive fucking piece of shit. Look at what he did to us, Crow. He gave us the power to turn into birds. Now, it sounds like what Raven is trying to argue is that, like, look, he's essentially tampered with our humanity. We can do something that other people can't do. Like, this is not a dust thing. This is pure magic. And, like, we can transform into an animal. Like, it's like he did this without telling us what he was, like, wanted us to do. Like, he tampered with our genetic code kind of shit. Okay, like, fair, but what's the downside? It's like, okay, are you a bird now? No. Okay. So you're not stuck in bird form. That's good. Can you freely change between human and bird? Yes. Okay. So you're not stuck as a bird permanently. You have full control over it. So what's the downside? Because what it sounds like is you guys were doing some work for him and he trusted you a lot. So he gave you a superpower. I mean, there's probably better powers than just turning into a bird, but turn me into a bird, Reen. I'm a seagull. It's like, there's probably better powers than that, but it sounds like you got a benefit with no downside. And this is the crux of your argument for why he's a piece of shit. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, was I missing something? Again, it's been a long time. Maybe there's a lot more nuance in it than that. Maybe there's like, yeah, it's like, I have a lot of problems with Osmond, like other genuine shit. This is just like another little kind of extra thing. But I remember watching it and going, oh, what? I also remember a moment from Volume 4 where I believe it's the first time Tyrion fights Team Juniper, but without Pyra and then RWBY instead, because shit happens at the end of Season 3. And after the fight, I don't remember what he said to everybody. I think he said some shit to RWBY where he's kind of like, all right, you're the silver-eyed bitch. I know to keep an eye on you. You two don't matter. But I remember him looking at Jon and just going, you interest me. And thinking to myself, there is literally no reason for him to say this. There is nothing that happened in this fight that I, as the viewer, would go, yeah, Jon did something that, like, really makes him stand out. I remember that. And again, maybe I'm completely wrong and I'll rewatch the fight and be like, no, okay, Jon did some, like, really cool shit that I, like, forgot or didn't notice the first time. 1000% a possibility. But I remember it was like, this line of dialogue doesn't feel earned. And yes, it's one line of dialogue. It's a minor thing, but it bothered me. It was something that, like, I still remember, that lives in my head rent-free. That in the fucking, I can turn into a bird at will now. Clearly, Osmond is a terrible person. Huh? I mean, sure. Sure, dog. Anyways, went on a fucking tangent. The choreography in the fucking trailers is mwah. It is fantastic. Yeah, like Weiss getting her ass kicked and then saying, like, fuck, let me start, like, using the dust and doing crazy shit is really cool. But I gotta talk about RWBY. The character. I've been talking about RWBY the show the whole time. Fuck. Let me talk about Little Red Riding Hood. Crescent Rose is one of my favorite weapons of all time. It might be my favorite. It is a big-ass scythe that the way she uses it in the Red trailer makes it feel more like a shotgun, but I remember it being more like a sniper rifle, like how much distance it had in the show proper. So, a scyther rifle. I don't want to call it a scyther rifle because that makes it sound like it shoots scythers at people, which, I mean, I love scyther, like, that's kind of cool, but, like, a scyther rifle. I love it. But I love just, like, there's one part in the trailer I specifically remember, like, she's on a wolf's shoulder, because, of course, if she's going to have, like, a Red Riding Hood motif, she has to be introduced fighting fucking wolves, like, of course, yes, I love it. She, like, on its back, has the scythe's blade, like, around the dude's neck, fires the scythe, and then the recoil of the fire causes the blade to, like cut the thing's head off. That was fucking sick as hell. Just the way she'll, like, twirl it around her body, like, it looks so fucking sick, dude. I love it. It's so cool. I do have to bring this up. In one of my writing projects, one of the two main characters, excuse me, her weapon is a pair of shotguns that are specifically made from, like, the claw of a praying mantis. And so they look a little scythe-like, but they're these red shotguns, and they're specifically called Red Like Roses as a shout-out to RWBY, because, like, I got some problems with RWBY, but there's a lot of shit for RWBY I really like. I was like, I'm gonna call it that, and no one's gonna stop me, so I had to bring that up. But just the weapons in general, like, yeah, the fact that every weapon is a gun is kind of goofy, but also it's fucking cool. Like, I love watching Yang punch the shit out of things and then also be like, oh shit, projectiles, and then just start punching the air because she's shooting shit. I love seeing this dude with a fucking bazooka and then it turns into a cane. Like, every fucking weapon in this damn show is a bloodborne trick weapon. That is amazing, and I'm pretty sure this came out before Bloodborne. I could be wrong about that. But if not, I'm like, fuck, that is so... I mean, I guess Weiss's isn't. It doesn't really turn into anything. It's just, I have a rapier, but the rapier... Because I don't think the rapier's a gun, but it still has ammo in the form of magic. But that's still sick as hell. And then you got Blake, who's got a kunai with chain. I mean, not quite. It's a sickle, but I mean, I'm gonna call it a kunai with chain. You can't stop me. You might correct me, and you're probably right too, but I'm gonna call it a kunai with chain. The music is fucking awesome. I remember really liking, I don't remember Volume 5's opening very well, but I remember the openings to Volumes 1 through 4 being really good. With Volume 1 in particular, that's actually how I first got into the show, was I heard the Season 1 opening, I was like, fuck, this slaps. I know very little about this show. Let me check it out real quick. Oh, well, there was Season 1. The actual, like, fight music in all the trailers is really good. I like how in the yellow trailer, we're in a club, so you get, like, these club remixes of the first couple songs. I don't know if there was one for Blake's song. There probably was. I just didn't catch it. I think the Mirror song is really nice. It's very pretty. It does a very good job of establishing who Weiss is supposed to be. But again, Red Like Roses is really, really good. And Red Like Roses Part 2 is really, really good. I've written a lot of fight scenes and shit to either one or both of those two songs, and it's good shit. There's not a lot of voice acting in the character trailers. RWBY's is purely silent. Weiss has, I think, there's like, I think a couple lines from the announcer, and then the song, my understanding of it is that it's purely diegetic. It's supposed to be Weiss singing. Blake's has a few, like, some lines between her and Adam. It sounds fine. The yellow trailer has quite a few. Like, Yang is very talkative, which I feel like is pretty fitting for Yang. RWBY talks at the end of the trailer, and it is just not the voice I was expecting after watching the Red trailer. And again, like, I've watched the show. I know what RWBY sounds like. But I'm like, yeah, it's weird. Because, like, the voice is a lot more high-pitched and chipper than I was expecting. Now, from what I remember from watching the show proper, I thought the voice acting was, for the most part, fine. I feel like it kind of took me a while to get used to RWBY's voice, but I did. And rewatching episode 1, I was like, yeah, actually, I think her voice is fine. Excuse me, I think it does work for the character. I think it's, for the most part, well acted. We'll see how that goes as the series progresses, like, especially as I go through season 1, but I thought it was fine in episode 1. I do think each trailer does I can see what each trailer is trying to set up for the characters. Like with RWBY specifically, it starts off with her at a grave. And from what I remember, the opening also for season 1, like, also, like, starts with her at that grave. And I do know that it is for her mom, who had silver eyes. So I think her mom is one of the maidens? Because that's not something that was brought up until season 3. But I do kind of remember that. Like, I think she is. I know Cinder is. I know Raven is. I don't know if Neapolitan is, because she wasn't in season 4. I don't remember if she was in season 5. Like, I think she might have been in season 5, but it was like a short cameo, or it was like the, like, end credit scene or some shit. Because I know she shows up in one of the later seasons, and I don't remember, because I think she did have silver eyes. At least, like, one of them was silver. I just remember Neapolitan being cool as fuck, dude. I was like, I'm sorry. I like umbrella weapons. I just think they're really, really cool. And this might sound really bad, but I feel it from what I remember. And again, I'm trying to go in with as clean of a slate as I can. I do have some memories about some shit, but I want to give fuck, I am sweating. It doesn't even feel that hot. What the fuck? But, from what I remember, the show is at its best when people aren't talking. And that sounds really bad, but it's generally, like, the fights are so good, and we're, like, so cool and creative, and I don't remember there being a whole lot of dialogue in fights. Again, maybe I'm completely misremembering. Like, there might be, like, a little bit of, like, shouting, like, commands and, like, coordination and shit, but for the most part, it's like, we're just focusing on the fight. And Neapolitan is, like, a character that doesn't talk and kicks ass. So, like, she's the perfect RWBY character, I guess. But, RWBY's trailer sets up the fact that she She's missing her mom, but I don't remember how big of a thing that was for her character. Maybe it was, again, it has been quite a while. But there's that. Weiss's, the song specifically, emphasizes her loneliness and inability to relate to people. And from what I remember, especially in the early seasons, like, yeah, that's Weiss. Weiss was a real fucking piece of shit. Also just the fact, like, she's performing like a song in front of all these people. To me, it kind of gives this sense of like a very, like someone very high class. From what I remember, the Schnee family, it sounds like some shit out of Dr. Seuss, but like, it does have a very, bleh. I do remember her family being very, very well off. So again, like, I feel like it establishes Weiss pretty well. Blake's, it establishes like her relationship with Adam, the fact that they do some kind of unscrupulous things, but she has a very clear line in the sand and a moral code. And I do remember that being a big deal for Blake. With Yang, she just has big sis energy, which I do really enjoy. The fact that one of the first things you see her do, though, is like, all right, I'm talking to a dude, and to get some information from him, I just grab his dick. Like, I don't know about that. It's like, this dude so far has done nothing to make, because, like, he does hit on her, but it felt like that happened a little bit after that, because first he's like, you look a little young to be in here, which sounds like kind of a fair assessment. And she's like, okay, are you going to give me the information I want? Nah, it's not something I know. Okay, grabs his dick. Now what are you going to tell me? Because I literally have you by the balls. And so on the one hand, I'm like, okay, Yang doesn't give a fuck, and I can respect that. Also, I'm like, that's sexual harassment? I don't know about that. I don't know. That's kind of fucked. That's kind of a fucked way to introduce her, but alright. I do just like the big sis, like, chill vibe that she has, though. Oh, and it also establishes the fact that she is looking for someone, which I do know from later seasons, like, she is looking for Raven, she's looking for her mom. I do remember that is a big part of Yang's character. Have anything else to say? I don't think so. It's just, I think the trailers look really cool. They really get you hyped for all, like, the different fighting styles and cool shit you're gonna see. It doesn't really do anything for the story. Like, the trailers tell you nothing about the story, nothing about the world, except people have gun weapons from Bloodborne. But it's cool as shit. And it makes me think that I'm gonna be watching something that's cool as shit. Hopefully tomorrow I can watch season 1, and hopefully I'll be done with it and be like, yeah, it was cool as shit.